Welcome to the divisional round spreads of the week. We're nearing the end here, Mike, and it's a shame for us, but there should be some good football to be played and still some big spreads here this week, which will be interesting to discuss. How do you feel about your performance last week in the wildcards?
Well, I did okay. I think you did better than me. I was way too bullish on the Bucks to cover against the Cowboys. Obviously, that didn't go to plan at all. Um, Very one-sided game in the end there. And yeah, the Ravens put on more of a display than I expected as well. But I think we can both be pretty happy with the Jags cover against the Chargers. I think you even called something around mid-season that a Chargers missed field goal in their wild card game would ultimately be their downfall. Quite remarkable prediction there, Tom. It all came true. Other than the extraordinary hole the Jags managed to get themselves in the first half and pull themselves out of it. But yeah, no, those are probably my highlights from 30,000 feet there. How about you?
Yeah, I mean the Jags one. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised by it, so I'm not going to call that as like a surprise pick. Only other than you said, the hole they got themselves in. Although watching that game live, obviously as I'm over here, it was quite evident that the Jags would come back, and it never really felt like a comfy lead for the Chargers, which says a lot about that football team. Yeah, I think I was happy with the Cowboys. Like you said, you're a bit despondent with your Bucks pick there, but I just like there had been a lot of noise made about how the Cowboys can't go on the road and play on grassy turfs when they get outside their dome. So I thought they'd be annoyed about that, and rightly so. They have the running game to back it up and win some of these games. Yeah, the Bucks just aren't really going to do much, are they? So yeah, I was happy with that. We both called the Giants as well, of course. I mean, that was that's not really a surprise for us, was it, Mike? It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you've been bullish on the Chargers all year. Sort of, they've been your imposter of the year, really, and very much. I've said it a couple of times. The Vikings are my imposter for the year in the NFC. You've kind of works. You've probably got more of an eye on the AFC. I've kind of got more of an eye on the NFC, and I've never for 1 minute bought this Vikings hype. They looked like a poor football team to me, and we were both pretty bullish on the Giants. And they came to play in a big way, and we'll get onto it in just a minute here with their next game against the Eagles. But they're the kind of team that threaten, especially in this expanded playoff structure. They've got a really good chance this week for me. But yeah, we'll come on to that soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. So without further ado, let's bring up the divisional duels here, as we're going to call them, and see what's going on in the spreads.
Yeah, a bit of alliteration for you there. Divisional duels, you may as well. Quite enjoyable story on the homepage about Zach Wilson the night before and the fallout from a Jets offense that never took flight. Very apt headline there.
Yeah, I believe we'd call that a rat, Mike. It never got off the ground.
Is that a technical term? You should.
Yeah.
Heavy handling. My goodness. Right. Oh. Jacksonville at Kansas City. No point me taking the lead on this one, Tom. What do you think of your Chiefs here?
Well, this is I have to say I looked at this spread and I was surprised. Given I don't know what people are looking at sometimes. This Jags team has won, I think it was 6 of the past 7 now. They pretty much covered almost every time, and you have to like the Jags here to go and cover 8.5 points, just with the fact that I think ETN will be a big factor in this game. The Chiefs generally struggle to shut down backs on the short screen game, short passing game, and the Jags have a good offensive line that's clicking. So that's really the kryptonite in terms of the Chiefs' defense here. A solid running game. I expect to see more of ETN, maybe even some Lawrence designed runs here on the RPOs, but certainly I still think the Chiefs will win, but I wouldn't bet my mortgage on it. Let's say that, Mike. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Jags come in here and continue this run of form and maybe do something crazy. We've seen a few upsets already, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a Jags win. I think they're built to beat the Chiefs, and either way, that spread should be covered here quite comfortably at 8.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. I certainly wouldn't bet your newly minted mortgage on it, Tom. I think that'd be a very poor move. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that first ever Chiefs playoff run. I think Alex Smith might still have been the quarterback, or was it? No, it was Mahomes. That Mahomes' first year where the Titans came in to Arrowhead. Right, and they no, sorry, the Texans came in with Deshaun Watson, and they got up to like a 21-point early lead. Now, obviously, on that occasion, the Chiefs stormed back and won by a wide margin, but I could see the Jags. They're a very competitive team, much like that Texans team was before it all fell apart there. And I could see them coming in and making some early hay here. It's not an easy game. The atmosphere, it will be cold, so I'll say that. Now we don't know how Trevor Lawrence is going to respond to that. He's never played in the cold in his entire footballing career, not in that kind of cold anyway. And it's going to be on the road probably up with Seattle, the most hostile environment in the NFL as well. So those are considerable factors. But I just think 8.5 points in a divisional playoff game, especially where a team like the Jags have got so much momentum, I think you just got to take the Jags here and say the Chiefs win by, even if the Chiefs win by a touchdown, you win your bet here. So I'm quite happy taking the Jags. Texans back in the day coming in and putting a whooping on them.
Sorry.
Early.
It's interesting point you made there about the Texans getting off to a fast start back in that game back in the day, because I think that's going to be key here. The Jags can't allow themselves to get down by a few scores as they did against the Chargers, because the Chiefs are too good an operation to let that lead slide. So I think it's important for the Jags here to get some points on the board first and control the line of scrimmage with that running game. And just another interesting point here, the Chiefs special teams game has been a bit wonky this year, with Harrison Butkicker missing quite a few field goals. So that just gives me a little inkling here that maybe something, a big upset's on the cards here if it comes down to the kicking game. The Jaguars are a very solid kicking game, but surprisingly for a team like them, they've really solidified everything in that organization in the space of a year, and very impressive.
Yeah, and for the Chiefs as well, you'd have to hope they've got their kick returners dialed down now as well, because a lot of fumbles earlier in the year on kick returns, both punt and kick for the Chiefs. So they'll need to tighten that up certainly for the Jags here. All right, well, I think we'll roll on then. We'll roll on to Lincoln Financial Field, what will be a very chippy atmosphere here against the divisional foe, New York Giants. Another big spread here, 7.5 points. We don't know. There is no definitive line on Jalen Hurts' shoulder. Understandably, the Eagles are kind of keeping that close to their vest. I think it would be to their advantage if the Giants believed that Hurts wasn't fit enough to throw 30, 40 times in this game, tailor a defensive game plan to match. So we don't really know, basically, how fit Hurts is. And the Giants they're just on a roll, as we saw against the Vikings and in the back end of the season, beating the Eagles, albeit without Jalen Hurts, and running quite a vanilla game plan against the Giants as well, I have to say, when they beat us. But I still think it's too many points. I think the Eagles will win. I think it'll be a bit of a scrappy game, actually, because we're still trying to get Hurts back into the flow of things from where he was before his injury. Lane Johnson is hopefully fit to go in this game, but he's a question mark. So there's enough question marks on this Eagles offense to make it a bit of an equalizer in this game. And yeah, as I said, wild cards, even in the old playoff format, were always dangerous, especially in this extended format where the Eagles have had the week off, the bye. I don't know. I think it could be, the Eagles could even be down in this game coming into the fourth quarter, and they have to rally to win. I think they will win. But I certainly think it'll be less than 7.5 points.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think we're going to see an Eagles win here. I'm not sure this Giants team has quite enough at the moment to get this done on the road twice in a row here, especially against the divisional foe. But I do like the Giants cover here, and yeah, I mean, again, it's one I would be more surprised if they won this actually than the Jags beating the Chiefs, but I can see a way for the Giants to win this. They have a very solid running game, which should translate into keeping this close. And well, we've seen already teams who have suspect running games, the Vikings and the Chargers, to name a few, just been throttled out of the playoffs immediately. So it does speak to the effectiveness of a good running game, I think, and the way the Giants can challenge the Eagles. Daniel Jones rushing for 78 there, it says, in that Minnesota game as well. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, I just think the atmosphere is a bit too much here, and the Giants get a bit bogged down eventually. But yeah, I pretty much agree with all the points you made there. It's a Giants cover and an Eagles win.
Yeah. Daniel Jones' career-long rush came against the Eagles a couple of seasons ago when he, the turf monster got him. Otherwise, he would have gone in for about a 90-yard scramble there. So we might see his wheels again on the weekend. Saturday night.
Times have changed.
Very inconvenient. Very inconvenient. Very inconvenient time for me, that game. 1:15 a.m. on Sunday morning.
We'll have to get some coffee.
Yeah, I will have to stay up and watch it, but I'm going to be a bit of a mess on Sunday after that. So, well, AFC, Tom. I guess this works out well. You do the AFC, I do the NFC. Have at it, boss.
Yeah. Now, I didn't like either of these teams last week, and I haven't been that high on the Bills for a while. The Bengals, I'm willing to give the Bengals a pass because it was a divisional foe last week in the Ravens, and that's always has a tendency to be a bit prickly, should we say. But actually, my estimations of these teams have dropped a bit now. I think of the 4 remaining teams, I think the Jags or Chiefs actually have the best chance to go to the Super Bowl here. That being said, I like the Bengals to cover here. 5.5, it's too much. This is an odd set of divisional spreads here. They're giving a lot of points to the underdogs. I suppose they are away, but the Bills last week just looked, the weight of the pressure was really on them in that game. They didn't handle it too much. Allen was a bit scattergun, to say the least there. Coughing the ball up and throwing a few picks. And yeah, I think I like the Bengals coming here. As we've discussed, they're a very well-rounded football team, and I just like teams like that to go and cover a spread here of 5.5. So I think, like we said before their last meeting, which unfortunately got stopped early, it's a real coin toss game. This in terms of who's going to win. I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals win, but likewise it could be the Bills. I think we'll just have to wait and see for that. But certainly the spread is the Bengals here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a shame some of these are so one-sided. It doesn't really allow us to differ much on these. I'm going to have to go with the Bengals as well. They got out to an early, quick start in that abandoned game against the Bills. Before obviously the Hamlin disaster there. So they are an incredibly competitive team. They're a Super Bowl team from a year ago. I mean, I know that sounds really obvious to say, but it shouldn't go underestimated. The Bills, not only in their franchise DNA, all they know is playoff and Super Bowl disappointment, and that doesn't affect this current team, but it does. The crowd it might, especially if this is close and jittery.
Jittery, yeah.
I just think the Bills. I think the Bills might squeak it, but they certainly. I think I texted you in the first quarter of that Bills game last week, and said Josh Allen can't throw the ball 40 times a game now because people know what's coming. He threw it 39 times again. And threw 2 interceptions and kept that game close when it shouldn't have been. So I don't know. Unless they're going to be more balanced, I think we'll have a similar story where they have to eke out a really tight win. And I could even see the Bengals taking this, to be honest. So yeah, definitely give me the Bengals to cover.
If you mind scrolling down here, can we have a look at the injury report? I believe some of the Bengals corners were struggling towards the end of the Eli Apple there. Is he going to be out? What does that say?
It just says neck. It doesn't. It never really the injury report on the Athletic never really has a prognosis. Although to be fair to them, I I don't think that will have been announced as early as Thursday.
No, true.
But you're right. They do have, obviously, Eli Apple is a starting corner for them. I would argue he wouldn't be that much of a loss, but he is a starting player for them, so that is always a bit of a loss, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, Jonah Williams is the bigger one for the Bengals. Goodness, they can't afford to lose offensive linemen. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. I think both teams are a bit beaten up here towards the end of the season. I think every team is a bit beaten up. I don't know how the Chiefs fare actually when it comes to injuries, but certainly the Giants and the Eagles have got their fair share, and these two teams do as well. So, I guess as always, it's a cliche, but it's who plays through those injuries, next man up sort of thing, will be the ones that get through.
Yeah.
All right.
Game for, if the Bills win that, they'd fancy their chances to go all the way. It's a proper litmus test for them now.
I don't know. It's Arrowhead again for the Bills. Last year, shades of last year. If they have to go to Arrowhead again, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I feel like they'd be up for that though this year, and the vengeance will be a big part of it. I feel like this game is more of a challenge almost with the home pressure. But yeah, we'll see. It's they've got to get the monkey back at some point. The Bills, God.
Well, yeah. I mean, you'd have thought so, but they've been to enough Super Bowls and not won them. So, and I've got nothing against. It sounds like I've got something against the Bills. I don't. I would be, I'd happily, as long as they weren't playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl, I'd happily sort of root for the Bills as a proper franchise with real fans. It's not like the Bucks or the Jags, where you just be like, oh God, it's not even a real team playing in the Super Bowl. So anyway, speaking of plastic fans, Cowboys 49ers.
Well, here you go, Mike. You get the chance to pick the Cowboys game. I know you've been looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I have. For me, I would have liked to have seen this been a 3-point spread. I don't really know where they come in with the 49ers as a 4-point favorite. That feels a little bit rich for my blood. However, I am still going to take the 49ers. I think the Cowboys played really well last week, but it's a very different animal playing this 49ers team as opposed to playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're talking about number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. And I don't know exactly what their metric is in the running game. Where is it? Rushing yards per game. First. There you go. So best defense and best rushing game in the NFL. It's a time-honored strategy to win football games. I mean, I don't even know if... I mean, you could argue at the moment Geno Smith is playing as well as Dak Prescott, if not better, and they could only muster 23 points in that game last week. And you'd certainly... I mean, for me personally, I would fear the Seahawks' weapons more than I fear Dallas's. So I think the Niners have got a good chance to stifle the Cowboys and keep them to a similar low 20s point tally. And then I've been saying it all year that the Dallas defense is well ranked statistically, as you can see, yards per game, etc., points against per game. But if you line up and you run the ball down their throat, like the Eagles did the first time we played them with Jalen Hurts, the Eagles won that game comfortably, is what people don't remember now at this point in this juncture of the season, which is understandable. I mean, it was a while ago, but the Niners are going to run it. They're going to run it on the edges of this defense, which is the soft spot for Dallas. And they're going to make it a really physical game. And I just think the 49ers in that at home, and in that kind of football game, I just think they're better suited. Unless something disastrous happens and Purdy goes down injured, I can't see the Niners losing this game. And I think they might win it by more than 4 points. So yeah, I'm going to take the Niners here.
Yeah, that's it makes sense. I just have a feeling here. I think maybe an upset's on the cards here. I just like the Cowboys, what they're doing offensively since really the last few weeks of the season going into the playoffs here. they're not asking too much of Prescott, and I think they would have a plan to try and just gash this Cowboys defense. This Niners defense a little bit with the short passing game and the running game. And I still wouldn't be. I'd probably expect the Niners to win, but I think it might be closer. So I'll differ here. I'll take Dallas on the spread, but again, I don't know. I think maybe a Cowboys upset could be on. I just think there's a lot of noise coming in here about they haven't got a chance at all. I've seen some takes on how far they have to travel on the plane, and they've got a day less to practice. And I don't know. They're professional athletes. So I like to think that's not going to really worry them too much. And some of this outside noise might actually galvanize them and anger them here. And we're still waiting for the Purdy meltdown. I feel like it could be coming at some point. It's not going to go to the Super Bowl without having a bad game. So I'll just, if the Niners get through here, I might bet against them in the next game because I just think there's a little upset on the card somewhere in the NFC down the line here. So I'll just take the Cowboys, mostly just to be different and maybe even to annoy you slightly there, Mike. But I do like these. I'm going to take 4 underdogs here to cover the spread. I think that from here on out, from the divisional games to the Super Bowl, these games are generally one-score football games. So it's a pretty smart strategy in my mind, anyway.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points. I can understand all of them. I think if the Niners are relying on Purdy to win them this ball game, something has gone terribly wrong. Like they might have gone down a couple of scores on special teams or something like that. And I would agree with you then. Purdy throwing against this Cowboys defense is not a good matchup. They're very good. They're probably the best pass defense, just purely pass defense in the NFL. So I think Shanahan's plan will be for him only to throw it 20 to 25 times max in this game. I think you'll get a big dose of McCaffrey, Samuel, Ayuk in the running game. So a lot of reverses and end arounds and misdirection and then just Kittle on play action over the middle. I think if they're doing anything other than that, it means the Cowboys are having a very good day at the office. I would agree. I would argue the same point you made about Purdy the other way with Prescott, in that he always has a mistake in him for me. He reminds me a little bit of Tony Romo, actually, in that respect, where he's very, very good quarterback, but is he ever going to be top 5 in the NFL quarterback? For me, no, because in these big moments, historically, he's kind of choked a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see today. Maybe that's different today, but not today. This game. But yeah, that would be my take on it. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Not one I'll be watching live. I don't think. I imagine it's on in the middle of the night. But I'll certainly get out to take a look at it the next day for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, it should be a good weekend. Like I said, I think a lot of these underdogs have potential to cover here. Could make for some interesting parlays, which you may be having a look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Where is my call here? Oh, my goodness. Screen sharing options are falling apart on me. There we go.
Okay, well, the picks are in. It really, between us, it's obviously you took the regular season, so all the spoils there. But the differ this week will come down to the Cowboys Niners. So to see how that plays out.
Well, you're up 2 already. You're up 2 already, and that we can only I can only gain 1 on you this time. So I think you've got quite a big lead in the playoff version of this tournament, but this competition, I should say. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, enjoy the games, Thomas, and we'll reconvene. I think we'll reconvene for the championship games. It'll be the conference championship games. It'll be a very short episode. Yeah. I think we may as well discuss them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Looking forward to them.
All right, mate. Catch you then. Ahoy. Oh.